Hi, continuing today's thought, and I'm going to start with some good news and some bad news. The good news is I found something that Democrats and Republicans have in common, which should be good news following this contentious election that we just had. The bad news is what they have in common is receiving death threats. Several of Trump's nominees for his administration have received death threats, but also some Democratic Congress people have received death threats too. And of course, that's very unfortunate, and of course I condemn it, as I know all of you do too. But other than that, well, I know it's going to sound like, besides that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like the play? I mean, death threats that's a serious business. But other than that, I'm actually surprised. I was expecting riots in the streets, our liberal friends to be rioting in the streets over the Trump victory, this sweeping victory that he had. And there have been, I think, some disturbances, but nothing like what I was expecting. So that's very good. But just in general, there seems to be, with the exception, of course, I see the exploding liberal heads on MSNBC and in various publications, and there's all, I may talk about this in more detail in a future vlog. I probably will. But for now, things are apparently, they're a lot calmer than I expected, and you're seeing things like, events like Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg, you may remember, he had, I forgot the name of it, but he started a fund that was supposed to help get out the votes among, bipartisan, to be bipartisan. But a lot of the money went into Democrat areas to elect Joe Biden. But this time it was, you probably know this, it was reported, it was only a couple of days ago, Mark Zuckerberg met Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. I believe they had dinner together, and you're seeing a complete change of behavior among a lot of people. You're seeing people wanting to cooperate, not just here in this country, but in other countries too, talking about cooperating with the administration. But here, which I know is going to disappoint a lot of liberals who want to. I know it disappoints James Carville and Bernie Sanders. He's actually not a Democrat. He's an independent socialist, he calls himself. But still, some people are very angry. Liz Warren is not too happy. And they talk about resistance. Of course, the members of this squad. So resistance. You've heard it all before. Yada yada yada. But what does the public think? And this actually surprised me a little bit, because Trump's polling, during his entire presidency, maybe he was at 50%, maybe once for a very brief time, but usually very low. And I'm just going to put this up. Take a look. What you're looking at, that's not a misprint. Those are the approval ratings of Donald Trump and Joe Biden in a poll taken just recently, November 20th to the 22nd. Biden is down to 36%. Trump is up to 54%, which I am sure is higher than any approval rating of Donald Trump during his entire first administration. So that is a good sign, especially when you add it to a chart that I showed you earlier. Might have been the thought right before this one, 59% approval by the public of the transition, which I would assume to be some combination of how smoothly the transition is going, and it seems to be going pretty, as far as nominating people to serve in his administration, and I would have to assume that at least a part of that is approval of the nominees themselves. So that's got to bother a lot of liberals, because they cannot, I've lost count of how many commentaries I've seen of this, of people saying, well, the Democrats not asking what did we do wrong, or suggesting, well, they say they should go out to mid-America, the heartland of America, get off the coast and talk to the people in the middle. But I don't hear anybody saying we should go to the middle of the country and listen to them and and let them tell us why we voted for Trump, especially, I would say, minorities and women, Hispanics and blacks, people who are traditional base of the Democratic Party, but who voted for Donald Trump this time. But what they do is they blame the public. They consistently, the public is misinformed, or they're getting misinformation. What really bothers me, they say, well, yeah, they're not getting information, as if, well, when I was younger, there were 3 networks. That was it. Well, there was a New York Times, a Washington Post, and you had your little local papers, and you had ABC, CBS, NBS, and those were your sole sources of news. And now you have, thanks to the internet, you have multiple, and cable, you have multiple sources of news and information. And that's what bothers them, that the information, that there are now alternatives sources of information where you can get information that ABC, CBS, and NBC simply did not cover. That's a whole subject for another day. But liberals, they blame the public, and I guess now they're going to even be angrier at us, the public, because 54%, he's getting 54% approval, Trump is, and this got to really bother them, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward, especially at the next election. There's a midterm in 2 years, but in 4 years, the next presidential election, when the one candidate or the other will ask, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And if the answer is that yes, then what did the Democrats do? But that's a subject for another day. That's it for now, for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Comments always welcome in the comments section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.